Chocolate City Pictures presents MI Primal MI2 Action Film.
I'd like to welcome my friend, my first client, the first person to ever tell me, shut the fuck up and do your fucking job in my career. Somebody has smoked something today. So please help me welcome M.I. Abaga.
I like the way she put it down on me. I like the way she put it down on me. I like the way she put it down on me. I like the way she put it down on me. I like the way she put it down on me. I like the way she put it down on me. She look like she's a supermodel, cover of a fashion magazine. She look like a queen and she knows. She really
All lies, all lies. Everything he said now was a lie. I never said that to him. I don't use bad language.
So my first meeting with M.I. was actually here. Was here, right? Down there. What was it?
It was a cafe or something that used to be down there. So we sat in there. I think we ordered like one meat pie. That time, no money, man. And I don't know if you guys remember how lively and how full of life this place used to be. It was the place to be. It was the place to be always. And so we came and we sat there and we had like a coffee and we faked it.
Yeah, we faked it. We faked it. Do you remember the initial conversation?
I remember that something about you that you always had is that you listen very intently. Like Godwin, if you've ever had a meeting with him, he listens with his eyes. Like he peers, like leans forward and he looks at you, like listens very intently. And I remember that. I also remember that I felt like this was somebody that was super intelligent and everything that I had spoken to Osage that I was looking for, I felt like, this is somebody that would understand. And because you're an artist also, it made it simpler to be able to communicate some things,
Yeah. I mean, I remember Osage giving me that information wrong. So Osage said at the time that, would you like to manage an artist? And I was like, yeah, because I was bored. I used to work in a company called Fruition Image Consultants. I was PR and marketing manager at 21. And it was an interesting job because we had clients like British Telecoms, we had Nokia, you had Deola Sego. It was exciting, but my job as PR marketing manager was basically developing campaigns, and it was the same thing. So I remember calling Osage to be like, by the way, Osage used to be my manager when I was an artist. How many of you know Osage? She used to manage Whiskey, now she manages Timaya. She was my manager as well. And so I reached out to her and I said, I'm a bit bored with this thing. Can we find something else? And she was like, okay. So she calls me 2 weeks later and she's like, would you like to manage an artist? Sent me Chant Down Babylon and Crowd Mentality. Do you remember Chant Down Babylon?
Of course, those are the first few songs that I wrote that people listen to. And I just want to say a segue, by the way. When we talk about the history of Nigerian music many years to come, I think arguably the most vibrant period was between like 2007 and 2017. You're talking about techno, Whiskey, Davido, all the way down to like Nato C, Nice, Asha, when all that started, right? I would be hard pressed to find anybody that has more influence and more impact and more connections in our industry than Osage. Like, it's amazing what this lady that almost nobody knows, like the public, the buying masses, they have no idea who she is, how impactful she has been for our industry. And she's still working, still looks younger than all of us, do you know what I mean? And energetic and just amazing. But so shout out to Osage, wherever she is.
Shout out to Osage. Okay, so the purpose of the podcast really is. Don't worry, the real mic is here. The purpose of the podcast really is, as much as I want to inspire, I want to educate, right? And we did some amazing things in the year and a half. To be very honest. And I think in 1 year, MI went from just dropping his first album and us hustling from looking for V-neck shirts, white V-neck shirts from Body Lawson Studio to Palm Grove, right, for safe video. I know we talked about it once. I remember the day we were talking about you becoming a big artist. I don't know who said something funny and you laughed and fell off the bed about MI conquering Africa in a year. And I went from being this guy who has a 9 to 5. My girlfriend at the time knew where I was from 9 in the morning to 5 in the evening, and on Saturdays, yeah. Then I went into a situation where we would be talking. I'll talk to my friends. Some of my friends are here. I'll talk to my friends and tell them, "Oh, guys, I'm going to see you guys this evening." And then later in the evening, I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm on my way to Abuja. There's one show that just came off." Right? What about that time do you miss?
So it's crazy because that 1 year, when I look back at my career, so in terms of like the actual movement, right? We moved from, so when we stopped working together, I was in Urbanicura. I'd moved to the Urbanicura house. Okay. So I moved from living in someone's house. By the time you met me, I had my own room in the house. But a few months before that, I didn't have a room. I had a space on the floor, But that 2-year process, even though the movement doesn't seem a lot, if I were to show you, like, this is the car I had and this is the car I had, or this is where I was, and it doesn't seem a lot, but that first step in almost anything you're doing is always the biggest step. And it's the part that I remember with the most fondness. The first time I did a show, I remember we went to Abti and did a show. And this concert, we get there, they've planned for it to be outdoor. It starts raining at 10 p.m. and doesn't stop raining until 3 a.m. And the show was supposed to start like, let's say, 10. So the show is already done. At 4 o'clock, BK comes, he meets Godwin, he's like, "Look, the students are upset. There's like 10 guys. They want to see MI." So Godwin convinces me. I'm like, "This is like 4 a.m. The event is over." They're like, "Just try and come out." So we drive. We go to the venue. We sit down, and all of a sudden, it's 50 people. Then it's 100 people. Then it's 200 people. 300 people. I come out. I'm performing, and I tell you, like, this show was just magical. I performed for maybe 40 minutes because I was literally doing every song on my album.
And it was still raining.
And it was raining, yeah. Actually, the rain let up a little bit and then it started again. And we just performed in the rain. So those moments are the moments that I carry with me always. There was one babe I was toasting. I won't call her name because some of her former classmates are here. But I remember I was toasting her at the time, and I had said to her that, and she was like, "Look, this music thing you're doing, is it really going to, And then I went to Mina to go do a show with Dan and those guys. And she was working there in Mina for a bank. And I invited her to come out to come and do the show, to come and see the show. I was shocked. I didn't know it was going to happen like that. Because when I came out, the crowd went crazy. I think Jesse and I came out at the same time. It was insane, ridiculous. We had a great performance. And I remember that she was sitting there and she was like, "Is this Jude?" We didn't date, but I had a moment where I was like, "Yeah, that's right. Look at all you missed out on." She's happily married now, though, and I'm still single, so I don't know who won that battle.
We're waiting for you. Talking about that time, because I'm going to take this sort of like timelines. talking about that time, I remember how some of the so what Emma used to do was he would record a song, then he would play it for Jesse and Ice, and then they would smash this. They would basically just destroy the song, and then what Emma would do is while everybody's sleeping, he would record again, rewrite the song, recreate the beat, and then wake everybody up and then, fuck you, bitch. Come and listen now. Right? I wanted to ask about the time. Not necessarily whether you miss Jesse or Ice, but do you have people who played that same role now in your life?
Wow, you asked two questions while pretending to ask one. You understand? So, if there's one thing, hey, Christian in the building, if there's one thing that they don't prepare you for when you're on this journey of fame or whatever, is how quickly your relationships and your friendships will change. Now, please understand, Jesse and Ice Prince are family. Like, Jesse is my blood brother, Ice Prince is my brother, and time, sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears have made it so. But there was something we had that when people ask me now, I don't know if it's worth it. If when you trade it, Jesse and Ice Prince used to be so close. Do you remember? They used to sleep in bed and like put their heads on each other. Like, these are two guys that just genuinely loved each other. They were always together. And I get it. People grow older, friendships grow apart. But I think when you have the opportunity to share like a moment of pure creativity, like, it was Angry Mob, yourself, myself, Genie, Ice Prince, Abuchi, Jesse Jags. We're living in this house. We're all eating from the same food every day. It's really fun. Is that stage? And some people are lucky to keep those friendships as they grow older. But fame definitely takes that from you, because you start to build camps around every artist. So Jesse needs his camp, Ice Prince needs his camp. They need their managers. The managers need to outperform each other. Access to information. You guys know how politics is now. You understand? When you have your chief of staff, if he wants to get his job done, all information has to flow through him. They don't have access to the way the relationships were. So that changes. In terms of the second question you asked about how the recording process changes, it was amazing. So Nobody Test Me, which ended up on Jesse's album, was a song that I produced for Ice Prince. Undisputed Champion was a Jesse Jack song featuring Ice Prince. There's so many stories where we hear a song, we'll take the song from this person, we'll give it to this person. I think for three of us, the tragedy of music is that Ice Prince has the gift of creating a hit idea out of nothing. Right? So if that's an infinity stone, Ice Prince has that's his infinity stone. He can create a hit out of, I like this girl in particular, hit already. We're in the studio, we heard, we know it's a hit. Jesse Jags has the gift, his own infinity stone. So Jesse doesn't listen to music at all. So every time you hear Jesse's albums, I want you to understand that this is a human being that doesn't listen to music, but is able to make albums, right? So Jesse has the gift of just that natural talent. When he made Oleku, it had 20 tracks. And then I sat down, I listened to it, and I picked 6 tracks. So when you hear Oleku, there's 6 tracks out of 20 that are playing. The other 14 that we didn't use could make up another song, right? So Jesse has that gift. And then I'm more of the finisher. So if you listen to my albums, you hear the skits, the transitions between songs, sort of they're more polished, they're more rounded. So in a way, we're like the 3 Infinity Stones, and we should be recording together. We should be making albums together. We should, all 3 of us, be sitting down to finish Ice Prince's album, and then to finish Jesse's album. And again, as I said, I don't know if hopefully one day we have that opportunity again. But I try to replicate it I have young people around me all the time. My last project, I worked with TMX, So Chills, Odunsi, G Clef, GMK, all these guys. And what I have to do is to sit down in the studio and allow them be free. Because when they sit in the studio, they're like, man, I'm with MI. So everybody tries to play me an MI sounding song or an MI sounding beat. And I want to get to the place where you can say to me, that's a terrible idea. So Odunsi, the engine, whose album just came out, is one of the most like self-aware young people. He met me, when I met him, he was 20. I think he's 22 now. But he was 20 years old. He listened to my album. First time he's ever met me in his life. He listened to my album. He said, is that it? I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to do one. He's like, this is not really what people want to hear from MI now. The person before that did that for me was Millie. And another young guy too, around 20 years old. I remember I'll be rapping when I was recording Chairman. I'll be rapping. Millie would just open the door because there's a small space where they play PlayStation and stuff. He would just open the door and be like, Baba, that one, that old school rap. They're not going to feel I'm like, look at these little rats. You have not even recorded one song in your career. Like, you know what I mean? But if you allow young people the access, they will create that same environment for you. Yeah. It'll never be the same as, working with your brothers, but it's something,
Fantastic. I also wanted to go back a little to something you said to me here. So I think we had 2 meetings here. The one that really, really scared me, that made me quit, was something you said to me. I can't quote everything, but you said, I think we were going back and forth about, I was asking for 50K, can you pay 50K for, and you're like, look, I can't guarantee this. Then you turn and said, look, this guy. He was like, I'm 27. I just left school.
5 years ago, guys.
Of course.
5.
I'm 27. I just left school. I can't get a job in a bank. There were other things you gave me. Like, he was trying to drive home his point. And everything led to, if this doesn't work, I'm effed. Right? I think we sat for another 15 minutes after that. And I got to my office, got to my chair, and started thinking, I should just text this guy and say I'm not doing this thing. Right? And just say, look, I've come. Because at that point, I was looking for adventure. But the adventure of having someone else's life in my hand was a bit too much to swallow, right? And the next day I walked into my office and told them I was done. I called him and I was like, I called him and I told him. And I called him and I told him, but I couldn't start work immediately. I had to wait a month because I had to do a handover. I wasn't just working for myself, I was working for someone, so I had to do a handover. So today is exactly 10 years since Emma and I started work.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
It was. And
I saved your life. Ladies and gentlemen, remember this moment. Because when he becomes president or something, I'm going to need this footage. I saved Godwin Tom's life. No.
That was the decision that has brought me here. So it's fair. So my other question is, at that point you were talking to me, not at that very moment, but at that point in your life, what was going through your head? No money, a career. I mean, there was future awards, but there wasn't particularly money. At that point in life, when you said what you said to me, what were you dealing with?
Yo, so I'll tell you guys, I'm a very optimistic person in life. Even if things are very bad, I'm sort of upbeat, this energy. We used to laugh, we used to play, we used to there was always a lot of fun around us. But I was blessed with the opportunity of having no options but to go up, nowhere else but up. I say this because when I look at musicians sometimes, there's a question I ask myself because I have to sign artists. And one of the things I wanna find out is, what other options does this person have? If their parents live in Magodo or in Ikoyi, You know, they have a mom that's like, I'm going to give you 6 months to do this music thing, and then if it doesn't work out, you know, you go back to the bank, Abi, or you come to your uncle's office. If the person has a studio, if they have a laptop, their dad bought for them, you know, for me, and this may be terrible, it may be wrong, but for me, I sort of, you know, regard that person as not as high priority as that young kid. You know, if you think about this industry and think about how much money, how many times people came and they put up like big structures. So at the time I was coming up, it was question mark. They had enormous resources, all the producers. Cobams was a producer at question mark. Think about this. Cobams used to have a 9 to 5 to go and work at the studio every day for some artist. And then think about how many times people have used money in the industry, and then look at the band and John Jazzy. Literally had nothing, came from the UK, took over everything. Look at Olamide. Go and watch Olamide's first video. Look at Fino. If I tell you Fino's story, see the hungry kid, the kid that has nowhere else to go, he beats the comfortable kid every time. Now, I didn't come from a background of desperation. So that's why I say it was a blessing to be in a period of desperation, where my parents were in transit. They were moving from Jos to Lagos. They sort of hands off on me. I had gone to college. It didn't work out. I came back almost right before I got my degree. I was stuck in Jos. I had lost my job because the company had folded. This music thing was all I had. And, you know, so when I look back at it with fondness. And sometimes I'll tell you guys, when the chips are down against you, that's the best place to be. Because that's the most creative you ever be, is the most innovative you'll be. And I watched a video this afternoon on social media of a guy that was UFC fighters, and they punched this guy. He was going out, and the other guy didn't finish. He was like trying to punch him. And it was a black guy. He just got up and just gave the guy one, and the guy went out. Like, sometimes you're beaten, but as long as you get up and keep fighting, then the odds are in your favor to win, you know what I mean? And that's how I look back at that period. Like, I had nowhere else to turn. And I've never thought about it. I was reading your tweets today. I've never thought about it from your point of view.
Yeah.
But I was like a crazy person, right? Because I would meet somebody, I'd be like, this person can help me. You are going to help me. I remember just up here, I met Nobu Igwe. You guys know Nobes, Abi? You guys don't know Nobes. At that time, Nobu was managing the account for Virgin Nigeria.
Yeah.
Virgin Nigeria were the only company that were sponsoring events back then. Fab, you can attest. Nobes was so popular, every event, he would keep 5 seats in front. He would walk in with like 5 girls. Just stand in front of the event, watch for like 10 minutes and be like, nah, this shit ain't for me. And walk out. The day I met Nobes, and we joke about it all the time, he looked at me like, I was talking to Tosin Bucknor. He walked up to me and he looked at me like from head to toe, but like for like 68 seconds, like really like, then looked back up and didn't say anything to me, just kept talking to Tosin. As I was saying to you, blah, 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 like took the time to look at me and be like, no, I am looking at nothing, and kept talking. And do you know what? The next day when I met him, I said, you look like somebody that I'm going to need. He told me, go and write your goals, what you want to achieve. Now, he didn't know me. He didn't know at the time I'd been to the States. I was an educated guy. I had a studio in Jos. I was doing shows. I was a signed artist. I was on my way. He didn't know that. But here's the point. If you're telling me that you will help me, and all I have to do is write on a piece of paper, I was like, Madam, give me 4 foolscap there, 4 foolscap. Which biro do you have? She had it was a red pen. And I just started writing. I was like, look, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to make it. You know what I mean? I think sometimes that's the best place to be with your ideas and your passion, when you have no other option but to win. And I guess that's what the song Epic is about. No option, just win. Just win.
One. Guys, MI has an album called One. It's titled, no joke, 109876543321. Those are the tracks on the album. What's up?
So in my dreams, that's the last album I put out. In my dreams, I have 15 projects. I've done 8 so far. So talk about it, Illegal Music, MI2, Illegal Music 2, Chairman, Illegal Music 3, Rendezvous, Young Denzel. How many people have 8 of those projects? Yeah, don't lie, don't lie. Only 2 people. God bless you, ma. Don't worry about anybody else here. Their blessing is going to delay for 2 days. Understand? Yours is coming today. God in you too. So 8. Then I want to do a study on love, which is already recorded. I want to do a study on society. That makes it 10. I have the Incredible album. I have some songs from that already. I have the One album.
Okay.
That's already done. And then I have an album of old songs, Chandan Babylon and those songs, Perry Boy, which I want to do. And then there are 2 projects that I don't know. So maybe Chalk Boy Reunion, maybe, something. But I want to do 15 albums and then I'm done. And then the last album should be One, which will be a moment for me because it's the first album I recorded. And in a way, it will be like time travel, taking me back to my first time recording.
Do you mind if So I'm going to tell them. So all the tracks on one album were recorded once. One take, except track 1, because you cried.
This guy remembers too much. He's lying. MI doesn't cry.
Because he cried. He cried. I had to record again. But I remember you mistakenly mistakenly ripped or burnt the CD. This is how bad it was. He burnt it on an empty CD by mistake. And as he was burning, he was like, shit. As soon as the thing came out, MI took out the CD and broke it. None of us were allowed. None of us. I'm going to use this podcast to confess. I stole 2 songs. I stole 2.
I know there are 3 songs that are out there. There are 3. 6, 3, and 7, I think, are out there.
I stole.
So, like, really hardcore MI fans have few
I stole
of them.
a couple of them, right? And so, yeah. Why I asked that question was because, 1, whenever you're ready to put it out, I'm available to work for free. 2,
Wait. Say that again, please. Zoom
whenever
in.
you're ready to put it out,
Zoom
I'm
in.
available to work for free.
Fantastic.
I'm available to work for free. For 1 album. For one. For one. But what would you consider what took you out from phase, the end of 2018, early 2008, early 2009, into mid 2009? What changed? When did you realize it was a switch? For me, I think it was Notes and Swag. Our first London show.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time we made that kind of money.
True.
That was the first time. And I think at that point we were like dogs that had just tasted blood. We didn't want to have anything less. And I think that was when it changed for me. But when did it change for you?
That's a good question. I saw a tweet today that said, I have to remember that I am in the moment that I used to pray for before. Right? And the reason I say that is because you never appreciate it until it's going. You only look back at things you've done and you're like, wow, that's amazing. I think the first time that I took a breath, so there are moments for me. I don't know if you remember the first, I had some money and I went to my parents' house and I changed like everything for them.
Yeah.
Like, it cost me like 700K, which I know is money, but then was like, I just invested 20 million naira. But this was like the biggest moment for me. I went home. I just showed up at my parents' house. I was like, throw that gen away now. And the cooker, and they didn't throw anything away. They just kept it outside. And they were like, okay, yeah, sure. What's going on? I told my dad, follow me now, father. We entered the car, drove to, I think it was Park and Shop. I was like, select what you will. Your son has made it. And that was an empowering moment for me. There are a few of those. The first time we got the car, we got an end of discussion. And some face is laughing. Look, you guys don't understand.
It was a big deal.
What?
It was a big deal.
I remember these moments. I remember being in the car, driving, Jesse sitting next to me, Ice Prince is like leaning over our shoulders. And we've had the initial like, oh man, and then there's a quiet moment. And we're like, wow. Like we just made music and bought a car. Like it's amazing. And the moments, I mean, they come and they go and you look back at them. And I guess maybe the way to finish the answer is that wherever you are now, whoever you're with, whatever you're going through, like there's always something amazing happening in your life. But we sometimes never, like life is not like a movie where there's like, as I was walking down the stairs, there's no soundtrack. It's like 10 years later, Godwin Tall and Emma met again. Dun, 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 dun. I walk up, slow motion, we hug, we look back at the cafe where we first met. Life doesn't happen like that. So you sort of have to make your own soundtrack. You have to stop. You have to look around and be like, I appreciate this moment. I appreciate where I am right now and be grateful for it. Because before you know it, it's gone. And you look back at it. And but I'm very grateful for like the team I had back then. I think one of the enduring legacies is that everybody that I worked with in their own right, like Godwin has gone on to be this amazing like industry mogul, do great things, manage the biggest artists. Angry Mob is doing his thing, even though he's always attacking me on Twitter. Is he here, by the way? Madman. Anyway, doing his thing. Ice Prince, the day Ice Prince bought his house, I remember that he came and like he told me, and we had another moment, and I was like, wow, like, you know what I mean? I mean, the moments are many. Nowadays, I'm blessed. I get to sit with Jesse's daughter. I get to sit with Ice Prince's son, and just see like, this is a different phase for life for us. And it's great. It's beautiful. I can't complain. I have complained in the past, but all in all, I can't complain. God has been very good to me.
So talking about the team, let's have a bit of a conversation about that. So I remember Six was the sound guy. 2009 was such an important year in my life, man. So Six was the sound guy. Sam Sticks, congratulations to him. He just got married.
He just got married like 2 weeks ago.
I couldn't make it. Did you go?
He bet somebody that wouldn't come. And then that day of the wedding, there was some flight problem. I can't remember what it was. And then I couldn't go. So he made 10,000 naira for me not going for his wedding. But shout out to Sticks. God bless you.
I don't have an excuse. But yeah, so Sticks was the guy who did most of the sound. And I think the best event to talk about the team in its real sense, in terms of not necessarily Audu Mekuri or Yahaya, but in terms of the team on ground, was Mina. Mainly because we literally went into Mina for a show and got there and realized the sound was bad. They didn't have sound. They had no plan. They almost drove us into, people were jacking the car. Like it was a mess. And I remember Mohammed, Mo Kawosha, Sam Sticks, myself went into the venue and said, this show is not going to happen. The guys, so it was Annual,
who were like doing great things, but went on to work with Banky and Shola, who managed Jesse Jacks for a long time. I think he works with Escape now. And Dan.
Guys, Dan, exactly.
Dan.
So a bunch of guys that were doing a school show. And so we made them borrow their speakers from a church. And they took some of it from a show, a party from the night before. Like we just made life difficult for them. Looking back now, because obviously you know better, what do you think? Do you think everybody played to the roles that they should have played, or do you think that maybe we could have done a little better?
That's a good question. So, as the head of a team now, so I have a day job, and I was thrust into it like proper leadership. So when Audu handed me the role in Chocolate City, I think what everybody sees in the music business is like the president of a label. I'm using the traditional terms. So the president of a label is the guy that like, you know, he wears the t-shirts, he's the brand, he decides what album comes out, he promotes artists. The CEO of a company is a different job. The CEO of a company is spreadsheets, is HR meetings, is team building. And I'm learning a lot about motivating people now. I think that to answer that question, I'll say, first of all, yes, we did an amazing job because we were young guys without the requisite training or the requisite support system to succeed. And we succeeded. So we did an amazing job. But I guess later on in my life, I can look back and look at things that we should change. We should have acted this way. One of the biggest things for me was that early on as a leader, I tried to be authoritarian. So there's this idea when you're in a label, you know, like that's corporal punishment. I'm the boss. You know, if you're Brimo, you can't talk to me this way. If you talk to me, you're being rude, you're being disloyal. And nowadays, you work with artists who are like 21 years old. I was arguing with an artist in my label. Today is Monday. Last week Monday, I was arguing with an artist in my label. We're arguing about something inconsequential. And he kept arguing with me, and I said, listen, I'm going to listen to you when you talk, but then you have to listen to me. Then I started talking, and he just said, no, I don't agree, blah, blah, blah. I was like, bro, you didn't listen to me. And he was like, well, because you're not making sense, so I have to just interject. And I remember sitting down quietly, saying to myself,
let's be honest, Aldo would punch you.
I remember sitting down and being like, my God, this 21-year-old child just told me to shut up because I'm not making sense. But in terms of leadership, you learn that it's less about you and what you want to accomplish and more about listening. And so I was gracious to have Aldo, who just let me do what I wanted to do. You know, hey, you want to sign Jesse? Okay, Jesse's on the team. Ice Prince? Sure, go ahead. Brimo? I don't know him. Sure, go ahead. And I hope I can do the same. So in that way, there's more we could have accomplished. If we had stayed together, if we had communicated more, if we had been more solution-oriented with our problems. But again, we didn't have the training. We didn't have the support system. Like, we would travel. We did a show in Calabar. Sorry, I talk a lot. We did a show. We landed in PH at 10 o'clock. And was this a surface show?
It was a surface show. It was Tarek.
Okay.
Calabar.
No, Tarek was the host, but there was somebody, a brand brought us.
Smirnoff.
Oh my God. So we landed at 10 p.m. I'll find the story of yours. We landed at 10. Okay, so he used to work at, I'll tell you a story about him. He used to work at EXP. EXP do most of the activations. Anytime you see a show with 10,000 people, 20,000 people, it could probably be EXP, right? And on Star Trek, this is a surface story. Ufawa, he has rebranded. So they'll give you a contract, and the contract says you are going to perform for 1 hour. But most artists have like 3 hit songs and don't know how to perform, right? So they will go to the show, and remember, Star Trek is like an all-night show. So, like, let's say like 3 a.m. You have the hottest song in the country. You come out, the crowd has been standing since like 7. They're tired. So as soon as they see you, they're like, yay! Then you do your hit song, you do another song, but you don't know how to perform. So after 15 minutes, you're like, okay, we've done a good job. Let's leave now. So you say, thank you very much, good night. As you're walking off, Surface is standing there. No, bros. My contract says 1 hour. So please, go back on stage. Literally, he made artists go back on stage after they've said bye. So anytime you see an artist doing dance competition on stage or doing giveaways, know that it was created by this man. Because artists had to be innovative. You know, I can't remember what you asked me, but you know, I wanted to call him out and I'm pointing him out.
Okay, you know what? Let's move on. So, one of the things I wanted to ask, talking about, because we're going to move forward from 2009. Yeah, somebody has a drone.
You do. You. It's you.
So, MI, what happened with two of us? Here's what I think happened. I'm going to tell a story of what I think happened. So in 2000,
Gang, gang. Do we have time for this? I think everybody has to go home.
yeah, of course.
7:48. Let's close. Let's shut down, Abi.
So
You have time?
Here's what I think happened. It's my show. You're not going anywhere. So in 2009, while I worked with Emma, I got a job offer for a company. While I was working in my former company, I helped them write a break-in strategy. And so when they were looking for someone to run the business here, they looked for the person that wrote the strategy, and they found me. And so they were talking to me, and they said, look, we want to bring you in as GM for Nigeria. They had one in Kenya, had one in South Africa, and they were a British company. So they made me an offer. I was 22. And the salary that they were offering me a month was what I saw bank managers, and, you know, it was good pay. So I went to Aldo, and I was like, Aldo, see the offer on the table, right? At this point, MI was nominated for 2 hours at the Mamas, right? In Kenya. So we were all going to go to Kenya when I brought this whole story up. And Aldo looked at this offer and said, take it, right? Right? I remember very well, it was me and Mohammed that were leaving. Mohammed was going to Dubai. And so after MI won 2 awards at the Mamas that year, shout out MI. In the first year, right, 1 year after the album dropped, 2 awards, I remember Audu, Yahaya, Paul telling me, and with MI telling me and Mohammed to kneel down, and they prayed for us. They did a send-off backstage and prayed for us and said, you guys can go. But I started that job and quit on the first day. The day I started the job was the day I quit. And I just felt like we hadn't finished work. But I feel like deciding to go for that job destroyed my relationship with MI. Not because it was a better offer, but because we actually did make promises to ourselves. And I felt like I got an opportunity and I walked away. But I don't really know, because after I came back, things were not the same. Things are no longer the same. So, I mean, I know we squashed our beef in 2010. Was it 10 or 11? I went to his house and we were like, look, what? Somebody said this. He's like, some people said this. And I was like, you know what? Next time anybody says something to you, call me and ask the person to say it. And if somebody says something to me, I'll call you and ask you, did this person just said XYZ? Did you say it? And that's how Emma and I squashed our beef. Then I started playing football with you guys again and all that stuff. But what really happened? Because we never really had that conversation.
Yo. The mic. Yeah, just do what you were doing there. So that they won't be able to hear my answer. Just play with the knob. I got you. Just.
It works.
Okay, wow, this question is heavy, gone. What? So, okay, this is a good question. Because of how I look at the world, I don't know if there's a correct answer. The reason why I say that is that without that break happening, there's no Godwin working with Wajay, there's no Godwin working with Wizkid, there's no Godwin working with all these other guys, there's no Godwin maybe here today. There's no MI, learning what I needed to learn about leadership. There's no MI and Abuchi, and so sometimes when things happen, there's a part of it of accepting that it happened, and being okay with that. I think also that there was, if I'm to look back, I would say it was a communication breakdown. I wouldn't point to an event that happened. Anyone that knows me knows that loyalty is a very big thing for me. And Christian is nodding. What does that mean? Who are you? Yeah, but I've learned over time So I don't deny that maybe when you came back, my energy had changed. I can't really remember day by day. You know, we sort of, when you're the person doing something to someone, you never really remember from your own point of view. But it's possible. But I think just over time, there was communication breakdown. Again, we're young guys, we are learning. You're in an industry where people will literally say to you this and then go behind you and say something to us somewhere else. You know, also so much was changing. Jesse and Ice Prince were starting to do well. Things are starting to, you know, escalate. So I don't know if I have an answer. I'll say breakdown in communication, which led to breakdown in trust. I think the relationship between a manager and an artist is a very special relationship. And also, man, there are many things I'm thinking about, but I don't know if they're like micro things. So I also, and this is another little thing. I went to America, and when I came back, I didn't want to do the America thing. You see what Wizkid is doing and that stuff. At the time, I was like, look, we need to ignore America. They don't care about us. They're doing their thing. And I think at the time too, you had a very like American, like international approach. Again, which is why I say things happen. So I'm very I don't want to do the collaboration. I don't want to go. Godwin is like, we need to go do this show. This show is going to open doors for us. At the end of the day, it's a situation where in life you find that because people have different opinions, they will not always agree, they will not always connect, but it's not because either of them was wrong, you know? It's just life, you live and you learn. And if you want to come back, I'm willing to take you back, God.
Yeah, but
Now you ask question now. I would have made it worse, more awkward for you, but just slight awkward salts.
I will remove it from the edits. But we're good now.
Yeah.
We're good. A few weeks ago, MI was at my house arguing for 5 hours about, what was it?
Yeah, about toxic masculinity.
Yeah, we're arguing about feminism and toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So, 5 hours, guys. 5.
We argue a lot.
Anyway, so let's talk about leading. So now you're in a position, and I talk about leading because a lot of artists don't realize the responsibility that they have, even though they're not necessarily CEOs or presidents, right? And I remember very well that you negotiated your contract twice before I left, right? And so we see, what is the advice that you would give an artist who is having problems with his label now in terms of his approach to dealing with that? Because we're having a lot of breakups, a lot of issues.
This is a question heavy.
Right? So what would be your advice? Because you've gone from artist to label, but before you became a label head, I saw you renegotiate your contract twice. What should artists be doing instead of going into fights?
Yeah, this is a very good question. Where's the camera? Let me look into the camera. All artists, whatever you're doing, stop and listen to this answer. Within this answer is the key to life and success. And here I go. All right. So number one is there's only one reason to be on a record label. There's only one reason. Well, there are two reasons, but the second one goes away quickly if you become successful. So the first reason is that I don't have startup capital. As soon as you start up and you start to make money, there's only one reason to be on a record label. And that is something called overhead costs. I don't want to pay. So you guys know how Nigeria works. If I'm paying a publicist 500K to publicize me, and that publicist is a lone working guy, what it means is that even though that publicist is telling me that my fee is 500K, I should know that his rent, his monthly expenses are coming out of that 500K. So he's probably going to use about 300K on the job. And that's because in the creative arts, most people are working by themselves. That is the reality of our business. That 200K, most artists never realize how much it amounts to until they are running their own business. So every time an artist tells me I want to start a record label, I like slap my head like this. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you can build on the structure where you're at. Listen, my TED talk was about this very same topic and saying to people, if there's something wrong with your record label and you can see it, it probably means that you are there to fix that problem and to build on what is there. And I think that's what we did at Chocolate City. Chocolate City has few things that were negotiated during our time. Number one, Chocolate City is the one record label where artists have managers that negotiate for the managers, for the artists themselves. So when you call a Chocolate City artist, you don't speak to a business development person. They will direct you to the artist manager. Meaning that Chocolate City has less of a say on whether we do a show than the artist has. Why do we do this? Because there's a conflict of interest if the company is able to negotiate for shows for themselves. It's not apparent, but over time doing business, it will become apparent. Point in case, I go to 9mobile to do a show, and 9mobile say, hey, we want to get an artist to perform. We're not really sure on the artist, but we also want to do social media activations. The record label looks and sees that, man, these social media activations will make me more money than this artist performing. So they focus on that. They take their eye off the ball. So we negotiated this with Audu. We passed it into law. Since then, in Chocolate City, every artist works under this structure, right? Since I've been there, I've argued with Audu more than any living human being. I'm sure more than his wife. I've probably caused Audu more grief than any human being on earth. But I'm proud to say I'm still standing with him. I'm still fighting with him. We're going to figure it out. And now that the baton is in my hand, he's standing with me. He's supporting me. And it's one of the best things to be able to look at Ice Prince's career and see that arc. And then look at Brymo. And then look at Nosa. And then look at Victoria Kimani. And then look at Coker, and then look at Dice, and then look at the 9-10 young guys that we have on our record label now, starting off their journey, and being able to sit down with them and listen to their dreams. And you see, part of the problem, I know I'm on a rant now, part of the problem with Nigeria as an economy is that there are things that are not sustainable unless you band together. Most things that are in one place are not owned by Nigerians. So most of the big brands that have the leveraging power to change our country, most of our telecoms, most of our oil companies, most of our banks, when you do research, you find that the seed funding behind them, the people on the board, the people that own them, are not all Nigerian. Why is this important? Because it says that even though we have so much energy, there's something about the fact that we don't like to work with each other that stops us from reaching our true leveraging power. So every artist in Nigeria is fighting by themselves. They are fighting YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, TuneCore, whatever, MTN, Glow. You're fighting by yourselves. And when you negotiate with them, that's the clearest case of divide and conquer. When you walk in, you're by yourself. And they negotiate with you and they beat you down, telling you that your brother is going to take a less of a fee, right? But here's the thing. My phone, my AirPods I was wearing, my watch, my laptop, my computer at home, one company. And that company is somebody's dream. Do you guys know who Paul Allen is? So Paul Allen just died recently. How many people here know who Paul Allen is? Let me just see if you know your hand. Okay. So let's say about 30% know who Paul Allen is. This says a lot. Paul Allen is a co-owner of Microsoft. He just died and left a 20 billion estate behind. This is not the guy. That's not the Microsoft guy. So not the main guy. The second guy in Microsoft is richer than the richest African man. And you don't even know who he is. That's the power of when people work together. When we all work together to say, we're going to take Microsoft all the way to the top. If we created a label, let's say it was Maven, let's say it's Mohits, let's say it's Chocolate City, let's say it's Storm, and we consolidated on what we're building and we built it up today, Storm Records would be able to talk directly, or whatever this label would be able to talk directly to YouTube and say, this is what we want, and we want you to make the situation better for Nigerian artists. But alas, we're all dealing with it independently, fighting a battle. And the saddest thing, I'll tell you guys, I want to end this question. Sorry, I went on a rant. I talk a lot. But the saddest thing is that there are 10 artists that today make up 90% of the content that the world is consuming of Africans. 10 artists. I'm sure you guys can think of who they are. Of all the streams that Nigeria is putting up, 10 artists make up 90%. But these 10 artists have something in common, which is that they are all signed to American labels. It means that an American label can come and take the rights. So when an American label signs you, it means all the residual income and all the benefits, all the publishers, all the managers, all the taxes, all the reinvestment of that money is going to happen in America and not Nigeria. So the successes that we celebrate the most here, for all intents and purposes, they are not Nigerian artists anymore. They are just Nigerian people, but they are not Nigerian musicians. And when we celebrate our industry is actually not doing as well as we think it is. It's a very, very hard place for people to invest into the music business because we're all alone. We're all independent. We hate working with each other, and that needs to change, you know. Sorry, I went on like a rant. Sorry. Kanye rant.
So, I don't know if you remember one of the most devastating things. I want to recall one of the most devastating things that happened to me in my life. So in 2009, we took Kester. Remember Kester? We used to take e-taxi. So Kester, we're going to an interview with IK at Rhythm FM. We're in traffic for 2 hours on that Lekki road. And throughout this time, we're calling IK, we're so sorry. We put the channel on Rhythm FM. We're so sorry, we're so sorry, we're so sorry. All this time, they were playing MI's music, playing some other songs. The moment we walked, and at that time, MI had dropped Talk About It, Wande Cole had dropped Mushin to Mohits. So throughout the trip, they were saying, MI is coming to the studio, MI is going to be in the studio, MI is going to be in the studio. The moment we walked into the studio and IK said, MI is in the building, I think like 20 calls in succession were for Wande Cole. They were like, you remember? We sat down and play me bumper to bumper. And in our minds, we're like, this 50K we asked Aldo to give us to get people to call this radio station. It could have gone a long way. And that was the first time that I realized the importance of having a label behind you. People who would think on your behalf. I don't think Wande would at any point decide that. And I currently manage Wande, so I know the kind of person he is. I don't think Wande will wake up in the morning and say, all right, guys, let's put aside 10K. MI is going to the studio today. The moment MI gets into the studio, let's get our team to call and ask for bumper to bumper, and you bad. No joke. For 20 minutes in that interview, that's all people. IK just played MI's music because he was like, this is bad. Right? So the importance of a label. But now, continuing the conversation about leadership and what the industry needs. I know you started talking about that. But, so the question now is how? How do we build, for me, here's my take about and I say this to all my students know this story. For me, the industry is like a guy called Ade. So, Ade used to work for Elizade Motors, hypothetically, right? And I don't know, maybe recession or they were letting people go. So, Ade got fired. But Ade has been working for 25 years. Fixing Toyota cars. This is all he knows to do. Right? And then they tell Ade to go. Ade leaves, goes and sets up a roadside mechanic shop. But remember, he's a Toyota guy. But the problem with the roadside mechanic shop is the guy with the BMW is going to show up. The guy with the Mercedes Benz is going to show up. But Ade cannot tell them he can't fix the car. Right? So Ade has to lie. So Ade will tell you, oh guy, it be like saying a crankshaft. It be like saying a fan belt until he either mistakenly fixes the car or he destroys it. Right? Now, that's one problem. A bigger problem is Ade has 4 people that work with him. Right? And these 4 people are learning all the things Ade does. They are doing it the wrong way. they are learning everything. Now, these 4 guys are going to get their independence. That's what they call it, Abi.
And set up 4 other.
And set up 4 other Ade replicas.
And you know, you can never learn everything the master knows.
No.
So they will not even know what Ade knows.
So they go and set it up, and then they lie to people. And so we have a web of people doing business the wrong way. This is what I think the Nigerian music industry is, right?
There's something that we have, though, as black people, where we don't trust each other. And I don't know what it is. One day I was meeting with a Rock Nation rep, and he told me, he said, because I'm black, if I offer to do business with you now, you're going to say, what does this guy want? But he said, if I was a white guy and I came, I said, hey, I got an opportunity for you. You'll be like, man, sir, yeah, exactly. I want you to meet my family. Oh, this is my good friend, Rick. He's from America. There's something that we have about looking at another black person and knowing that they're going to benefit from something you're doing, and it takes something off in us. And I don't know, I think that as a responsibility, because we are going to find out that it doesn't work. Our industry, the way it's going, you're going to find out that people are going to need money for medical issues. There's going to be a lot of creative, talented people that are going to need the support of a structure that are not going to have it. A lot of problems are coming for our industry. We're going to see that our best talent will continuously be poached by the West. And when they're poached, they're going to sign deals because they don't have lawyers that represent their interest. They're going to sign deals that are bad for them. And they're going to go out there. And we're going to see the repercussions of all this. And we don't have to look too far because it's already happening to our black brothers and sisters in the States. Yeah. We can look and see what's happening there. We can go and read about Motown. We can read. It's coming for us. The only difference is that we're happy to get $1 million today. But we don't know that they're making $100 million, right? But when we see that it has failed, I think it's going to be our job to train our children to operate no longer in fear, but in love. No longer to be afraid of somebody because they're Igbo, they're Yoruba, and we don't trust those people, where they're from. But to say, hey, if I love my brother and I'm willing to sacrifice and to give, then I can build something beautiful. Because I believe that that's where, like, working out of the place of love, when Steve Jobs talks about Apple is a company that wants to change the world, and we want to work with people that want to change the world. What he's talking about is love. He's telling you, you have to love what you do, you have to be passionate about it. And because of that, 5, 6 kids will come together and work on a dream and work on it for 30 years and become billionaires. It's the same story for Steve Jobs, for Bill Gates, for Phil Knight, for all these guys. They were all young guys that changed the world. Warren Buffett, all these guys, young guys. Jeff Bezos, it's happening in China. But here, our billionaires are either lucky, the right place at the right time, they know the right person. You know what I mean? I mean, which of our billionaires do you know that makes an exceptional product? Think about that. Which of our billionaires do we know makes a product that's so good that the whole world? It's more about being being there first mover advantage. Because for Bill Gates to be where he is, he had to make Windows and redefine the world. And then Steve Jobs had to come and make Apple and redefine the world. Nike changed the world. All these companies are changing the world for them to get to the money. Oprah changed the world. Jay-Z, all these guys. But here is about who I know and who gives me oil block and who puts me in position. And we have to change that because there's no value in that.
Yeah.
That is not a way for us. Sorry, go ahead.
I think another way to look at it is, LD said this thing, the best way to, I think LD said it best. Our billionaires do not know how to do business. Most do not. So if you sit with someone, one of two things. He knows how to do business, but he's afraid to tell you, which is trust. Or they stole the money, so they can't tell you how to get this money without stealing it and without admitting that they stole it. So it's also another issue, and I agree. I agree with you. I wanted to also ask you about spirituality, because we have like 20 minutes. So I want to ask you about spirituality. So there's a story he talked about when we came from Port Harcourt going to Calabar. So here's the story of that. So we were invited for a show. It was an activation for Smirnoff, and we missed our flight. Right? We did. Yeah, we missed our flight, and we got another flight going to, instead of going straight to Calabar, we got a flight to Port Harcourt. So we landed in Port Harcourt, and there was this guy who said, "Oh, I have this cab, I can get my friends, they'll go with us, they are strong, they are fortified." They were earth, wind, and fire, those three guys, right? No joke, I'm not making this up. They called themselves Earth, Wind, and Fire. We squeezed ourselves with 3 unknown guys in the car going to Calabar from Port Harcourt. So we passed positions, we did everything, had missed 2 accidents. One tire got bad. When we fixed that tire, we found out another tire was bad. But before we left Port Harcourt, I remember Jude calling his dad, and we had a conversation with his dad, and his dad said, "I'm going to pray for you guys before you leave." And in our minds, we're like, we're going on a trip, but we stayed, he prayed. We missed 2 accidents. There was
We hit a dog
we hit a dog
in
on
Uyo.
Uyo.
Make of that what you
Yeah.
will.
To be fair, it was on a bridge connecting Uyo to Calabar.
The dog was running for his life and died. Look, it's facts.
I don't think that dog died. I don't think it died. We just didn't care. We just kept going, right? But then the tire got bad, and then we fixed it, and then we were leaving, and then we realized that there were 2 tires that were bad. So we called the guys to send the car. They sent a car with security, and I think the whole club came with the car because we're squeezed. It was just me and MI in the middle. So the guy gets on the road, it's drizzling, and he starts running. And I remember Jude telling him, "You need to slow down," but I think he was drunk. So he ran at some point. I don't know how many of you have been to Calabar. So when you're entering Calabar, there are too many roundabouts going. And he ran, I think he was running like 110, and he ran right into one of those roundabouts. And Earth, Wind, and Fire, one broke his leg, one hurt himself, one broke his arm. I think just 2 of us came out with without a scratch. And as much as, say what you will about religion and about spirituality, but I felt that prayer meant something. But in your career, what role do you think your religion or spirituality has played in keeping you grounded and being the person that you are?
That's a great story. I didn't even think about the fact that we're the only people that came out of the car without a scratch. I told my dad, as soon as we landed, I didn't feel happy about it. And I told my dad, I said, pray. And so they were actually praying for us as we were going. My dad didn't sleep. I remember before I went to America that for school, and I woke up one morning. If you know me, you know that I don't wake up. But I woke up one morning like 3 a.m. and my dad was praying. And I heard him. He said, send my boy to America. If you know, my dad is a preacher. So, and I remember that day I knew, I was like, I'm going to get my visa. I'm going to get everything. And it all happened. I think the arguments that gets people mixed up, Muslim, Christian, this, that, who is right. What I would say is that life allows you to see that you can't control everything. And you need to have the humility to tap into something that's greater than yourself. You know, I don't pretend to have all the answers. I'm not the most spiritual person. I'm not the most religious. In fact, I'm almost non-religious. I'm a very spiritual person, but I'm not so religious. I don't argue about, whose church or all those things. In fact, I ask questions. when I go to some churches sometimes, just the way the pastor starts preaching, I'm like, nah. You know what I'm saying? This is not what we should be talking about. But there's something greater than us. And we need to tap into it. And it has kept me grounded. It's kept me humble. It's kept me focused on building things that will last forever, like friendships, like those relationships, like capacity, over trying to be the hottest artist or trying to be the best artist or trying to be, seen as the most popular guy. I think it's important for everyone. And yeah.
Comedy, thriller, action. What do you enjoy now? Because these days I just watch comedy.
Yeah.
I think there's just too much pain in the world. And so I pay my full bouquet on DSTV just to watch Comedy Central. Right? But what
You got a Netflix, man. Netflix, man.
Netflix, I mean.
That Netflix, whoa! I'm telling you.
No, I mean I do have Netflix, but I only watch comedy. Like I literally only watch stand-up comedy on Netflix.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you feed your soul with?
It's very important. Like nowadays, I unfollow. First of all, if an artist is making me feel bad, like if you have too much money and you're doing too much, and I'm going through a rough period, you understand? Like now, this period I'm in right now, you understand? Last week, some organization, I won't call their name tax. They just hit me hard last week. So this week I'm not smiling at all. So if I just go on your page and I just see you flexing too much, I just unfollow. You understand? Because at the end of the day, what you said is important. You have to be careful what you feed yourself with. And before they say they just beheaded somebody, I would go and watch the video. I'd want to see. But right now, you have to protect your soul. You have to protect your energy. If you see things that are bringing you down, you surround yourself with that. Sometimes it will bring you down and it will depress you. And I think that especially in this time, there's so much information coming at us that we have to be careful. How many people here find sometimes you're just playing on your phone and 2 hours have gone? You've done nothing. If you've done that, please, like you're just emptily. Now let me ask you a second part. How many people find that they forget things a lot now? Like it's hard for you to remember like details that you would before. Like you're just like, man, I can't remember that guy's name, or I can't remember where I kept that thing. If you find that, it's probably because you're filling your mind with so much every day. Things you can't remember. You see a picture, you go to somebody's page, you read comments, you laugh, go to Insta blog, you check this person's, look at this outfit. What happened at this event? What happened? And then you get used to not remembering things. You get used to like, I just see this, I passed, today is gone. It's gone, you know what I mean? And I think that we have to protect our minds because it's actually dangerous. And it's dangerous for creatives also. You have to ground yourself in something.
So that question was sort of a segue to your album.
Yeah.
And when I listened to the album, I was like, okay, is Jude okay? But the reason why I'm asking is because of mental health, right? I know that too many times people don't talk about it because it's not seen as if you're a man and you are depressed, you are weak, and you don't have problems, right? If you had problems, you'd not be sitting down here worrying about anything. And that's generally this is what I've been told. So I've had to battle depression since I was 19, right? And not because I didn't have a good life or I wasn't slightly comfortable. It was mainly because I always felt like I was supposed to be in a different place, and that put a lot of pressure on me because at 15, I had already decided who I was going to be at 25. At 26, I was going to be married. I had my whole, as I speak to you right now, I am working on a 50-year plan. It's been mapped out and written out, and most of those things came when I was 15, which is the reason why at 21, I already had work experience with 5 companies. Every company I worked with except one was a mistake. But the thing is, because of that kind of mindset, I always felt like I was supposed to be somewhere else. So at 19, I tried to take my own life because I became a millionaire at 19 and lost it at 19. Like around the same time I got it, right? And that's why I don't wear designers anymore. Mainly because, apart from the Nikes, they're really comfortable. They're really, really comfortable. Because I had a choice between, so my girl asked me, do you want the Nigerian jersey, which I love, or do you want the Nikes? And they were the same price. So I took the Nikes. So, but I used to be very vain. At 18, 19, I used to buy designer clothes. I had Burberry, I had everything. And then the company I worked for, the gardener thought that I was the person owing him. He didn't know that the company was owing him. So I gave him my clothes. They had let me go, but they let me stay in the BQ. This was in VGC. And we were so broke. I've been spending my savings till I got broke. So I was looking for work, and I was walking around Lagos, VGC, Ikota Shopping Complex, looking for work. So all my clothes were dirty. All my shoes, my clothes, everything dirty. So I gave this guy my clothes to wash, and he took it as payment. And left.
Fair. Why were you owing him money?
I wasn't owing him.
I'm kidding.
So he took it as payment and left with all my clothes, everything. And so losing all of that, I never really paid a lot of attention to flashy things. But I carried that same struggle into my 20s, and then just recently I decided that I was done. And I decided I was done. It wasn't a situation where anybody said, oh, let me see you. I think what actually annoyed me, let me even tell you guys a story. So I went to what do you call them? It's not a life coach, it's a guy that talks to you when you're depressed. Like a therapist, right? So I approached him and I said that, I had a situation, and I've known him from before. And I told him I had a situation and I needed help. I felt I needed help. And he said, okay, no problem. Tell me what it is. What's your issue? So I told him, sent him a text. I just poured my heart out and sent it to him as a text. And he replied and said, you need immediate intervention, right? We need to talk to you ASAP. What do you want to do? You want to join my class? Let's get this thing done. And I said, well, I've gone through therapy before. I just want a one-on-one. I don't want to sit in the class. I'm trying to get out of this. And then he said, okay, no problem. My fee is 1 million a month. And I replied and said, I appreciate you, but even if I wanted to, I couldn't afford it. And he said, his response was, and I said, thank you, but hopefully soon maybe I'll call you, I'll get help from you later. And he replied and said, okay, take care. Right? And that was the switch in my head that
You'd have sent him a text that said, oh, guy, if I had 1 million naira, I wouldn't be depressed.
right? So I sent him a text. I just said, "You're welcome, thank you very much," and I moved on. But that was the switch that forced me to start thinking, fix yourself, get what you need to do, because nobody cares, right? And that sort of drove me into the space where I stopped dealing with needing someone else to help me. But do you have a personal relationship with depression? Or is it that you just made an album based on something you had seen happen to people and you created something for them?
Gang. This Golden Tom can ask question. I'm going to tweet. Everybody be warned when you go on his show. You can ask deep questions.
There are only going to be 10 episodes.
I actually don't have a personal relationship with depression. It was something few friends of mine were dealing with, and they shared their stories with me. When I was writing the album, I didn't know how to write the songs without sounding judgmental. So I decided to play the character. That was the only way I could say the lines without making it sound like I was judging the situation. I think it's so curious that when we talk about being healthy, as regards our body, we're not talking about the hospital. We're talking about our diet, and we're talking about going to the gym or exercising. And we understand that when we talk about physical health, we're talking about working out, dieting, eating healthy, eating clean, etc. When you're sick, that's something else. with mental health, we see all mental health issues as when you're sick. We don't see it as making sure that your mind is eating healthy and is working out. We don't see it the same way. And I feel like sometimes, first of all, everybody can go through depression. Sometimes people face so much pressure that they fall over the edge. But I think in some way, most people that have felt pressure have walked tiptoed near the edge. And I think that would be my own story, where I've felt really down at some point. I felt really pressured. I felt really down. And what I'll say to people is that there are so many things that our generation needs to learn. And one of them is that you have to take care of your mind. You know, I just recently started meditating. There's an app called Headspace. Please download it, check it out. You sit down for 10 minutes. It's just a voice talking to you. They teach you. They just walk you through meditation. As a Christian coming up, once they say meditation, I say, no. That's how the devil enters into your mind. Abi, you believe this, Abi? You don't agree? Yes, but now I understand that meditation is actually something beautiful. And that in a way, prayer uses some of the tools that meditation, if you're able to meditate, you'll be able to pray even deeper, because you'd be able to allow your mind wander and not judge it, not judge as happening. Anyway, please everybody, reach out, talk to someone. In this dispensation of life that we are in now, men have to be able to cry. Men have to be able to be weak. Men have to be able to say, I don't know what I'm doing. Men have to be able to, we have to change our relationships. If you're in a relationship with the ladies, sometimes ladies, by the way they're brought up, are stronger and better at handling life than we are. Instead of trying to be the man, you know what I mean? You can just sit back and be a partner and listen and share and be helped along the way, or maybe it's your friend, whatever. We need to take our mental health seriously. You need to be able to shut off. This is something I'm not very good with yet, but 10 o'clock, turn your phone off, go to bed. How many people here have trouble going to bed, trouble going to sleep? Sir, do you turn your phone off? You don't, Abby? Do you know that there's something in your phone? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know but there's something in the lighting that wakes you up. So we normally play with our phones because we believe that it should set us go to bed. It let us go to bed. But now it's harder for people to feel rest when they sleep. Like some of us just sleep because your body demands it. But you get up and you actually don't feel better. You actually don't feel refreshed. You're actually carrying the pressure from the day before. And it's that thing in our hand that continues talking to us all night. Imagine having a babe that's you're just about to sleep. She's like, but honey, what do you think about this thing? Oh, he does that to you, Abby? Or you do that to him? Like, what do you think about this? Then you're about to sleep. So as we were saying, that's what we allow our phones do to us. Wow, check out this person's new watch. Wow. But look at this. Let's go to that person's page now. Let's go and see what's happening there. But have you checked Insta blog? Constantly, always talking to you. Always. We need to shut it off and protect our mind. It's very important. And for Godwin was the worst case of I must be a man. I must take care of my family. I must figure my life out. I must be structured. I must work.
This is my show.
Like the worst case I've ever seen in my life. Like carried so much responsibility on himself. When things didn't work out, it would, with all my managers that I've had, when things don't work out, they all take it different ways. But with Godwin, when he would see that I was disappointed, he would beat himself up about it consistently, sometimes for 2-3 days, wouldn't let himself off the hook. Just keep being like, man, okay, I should have done, but, and it's okay, you're going to fail in life, you know what I mean? I hope that you're getting to a place where you're okay just being Godwin. You're not going to fix the world. You're not going to save the world. Take care of yourself, protect yourself, look out for yourself. Is that Timmy Dakolo, by the way? Is that Timmy Dakolo?
Yes.
Wow. I'm happy to see you, but I'm also sad because I think you asked me to do something that has it passed? It's not yet passed, Abi. So I'm still okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to see you, bro. Welcome. Great to see you. Legendary Timmy Dakolo in the building. But man, we need to let it go. Timmy is a great example. Like via social media, I mean, social media may be different from, but there's something authentic about the way you talk to your wife. It feels like she's your partner. It feels like, like you make decisions with her, and even with your kids too. Your conversations with them don't seem like parents to adult, to child. You know what I mean? And I think that's, men, we have to redefine what it means to be a man now. A man, we can't carry this whole pressure all the time. We're going to die. We're going to die when we're 40. When the money has just started coming, you just collapse somewhere. You know what I mean? Go and play football with your friends, laugh, be stupid, watch a movie, cry. Tell your babe, like, you look good. Like, when you're tired of working, tell her, babe, do the dishes. You know what I mean? Sweep. Wash her pants. Okay, then that's too far. Maybe that's too far. Maybe I went too far. I'm sorry. Everybody wash your own pants, please.
So,
is that okay?
We have, I think, about 5 minutes, so we're going to try and use it wisely. How important is the conversation about feminism? And I asked this question because we argued about it for 5 hours. But also because of the conversation you were having just now, right? So I have conversations with guys who are telling me, you see this Twitter thing, I mind my business, right? When they are shouting, this girl, this guy, this girl, this guy, I just stay away, right? And my issue is, if we all stay away, because there are some people who are communicating this thing wrong. I mean, I have a friend who talks regularly. She goes on Twitter and just goes off. And sometimes I ignore, sometimes I'm like, Madam, what are you typing? Right? And I feel like it is important, not just for guys, but also for women to be involved in the conversation. But particularly for guys, because it is presumed in most cases that we are the enemy. And sometimes we are. Right? So in terms of us having this conversation about feminism.
Go ahead.
Right? What is your take? Social media is a medium to distribute information, right? So who should be communicating this and how? What's the best way to say it without getting attacked? Should we form a group of men who really care about women and put a banner up that this group we've set up are these guys and we care about women, so whatever we say, don't fight, right? Or how do we approach that conversation as guys?
Okay, this is an opinion, first of all. What I'm about to say may be completely wrong. It's just my opinion. Abi?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how many people here are Christians? If you're a Christian, can you raise your hand? Fantastic. It's a mostly Christian audience. Ufoma is not a Christian. He's
the guy.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm not going to ask. This is one of the funniest and most important people has supported so many people in our industry. A big brother to me too from Just What. Anyway, opinion. Number 2, Christianity. If I were to judge Christianity by Christians, there would be no argument for another person to become a Christian. Correct? I find that sometimes the conversation about feminism is not about what feminism is about who feminists are. And so people try to say, but look at that girl, but Chimamanda, we're always trolling and we're talking. So the question I ask is, what is feminism? Feminism is the idea that a woman should have equal opportunities as a man. Not equality of outputs, but equality of input. What does that mean? We are never going to see a world where women are equal in everything to men. But if a woman wants to do something a man does, that she has the opportunity to, I don't think many people will disagree with this idea as we are today. Now, this is where the problem starts to come. This is only a problem because what women say is that they are oppressed and they are second-class citizens living amongst us. Now, this is where we as men start to listen. What does that mean? You are oppressed. If you find every white man, how many people have a white friend? If you have a white friend, please. Sorry, I'll be asking you to raise your hands. What living in America made me understand is that my white friend doesn't need to understand or actively play a role in racism for racism to oppress me. He can support me. But I'll tell you that if you have ever been pulled over by a police officer in the States, that how you're pulled over and how he's pulled over are two different things. And how you are treated when he's there is different. He doesn't need to be racist to be part of a system that oppresses you. Which means that every man doesn't need to be sexist to be part of a sexist system. What is this oppression women are talking about? What are they complaining about? I sat down with one girl in my office. We started talking. She told me, and this is the clearest indication, about 4 out of every 10 women in Nigeria will admit to have been raped. Out of 8 out of every 10 women in Nigeria will admit. So they're out of the 4 out of 10. We're not talking about what the actual rape number is. We're talking about the women that will say, yes, it has happened. 8 out of 10 have been in some like physical altercation with a man in terms of sexual assault. Whoa, this sounds terrible to me. Because a corrupt system is a system where people can commit crimes and get away with it. So if I'm a man, I've never raped. Me, Emma, I've never raped. But I cannot say that every woman that's ever been in a sexual situation with me was there because she wanted to. As when I look back at my life, I can see sometimes that maybe I was like, but I'm Emma now. Come now, baby, come. Just come to my room. Nothing go happen. Nothing go happen. Please, I've never raped you. Please. But here's the point. Madam, what more ways do I play a role apart from my own personal involvement? Because I'm a gentleman. When the first Me Too came out, I called a lot of people that are friends of mine. I was like, did I act a certain way? And most people told me, Emma, you're not even like that at all. You're a gentleman. You're a kind person. So I said, oh, but I've never done it. What does it matter? Again, go back to the situation of a white guy saying, but I've never been racist to you. What does it matter? Here's where it matters. When a white man says to a white government, you are racist, is different from when a black person says to a white government, you are racist. There's a difference. We can understand that, Abi. When a white government holds itself accountable, it's different from when a black person, because you see, when a racist president comes, he can say, make America great again. And everybody will say, yeah. And the black people are like, when was America great? Because when we look back at history, it's slavery, more slavery, civil rights were beaten. When was, please, sir, what date are you referring to? But all the white guys are like, no, make America great again. Then I start saying to myself, when friends, which we know, most men, if they're going to be honest, know somebody that has been accused with cause of sexually assaulting a girl. One of your guys. We know a guy that has acted inappropriately around girls. We know a guy that would tell you, I'm going to get this girl drunk. Don't worry, give her something, make she drink. We know, and we know that most of these guys get away with it. Now, I'm using the sex angle because it's the clearest indicator of the lopsidedness. We know we have mothers or aunties who were married, worked, built up a family, possessions, and the husband died and everything was taken from her. We're in a situation where women don't have equal opportunities. We're in a situation where there are parts of this country where women can't go to school, where women don't get the same access to opportunity. We're in a state, in a city, where a single woman with money in her pocket walking into a hotel can be stopped by the gate and asked, Madam, where are you going to? Because it is assumed that she's a sex worker. And it takes nothing for me as a man to help women get more opportunities. It doesn't cost me anything. I lose nothing. I'm happier. If I'm married, my wife gets more opportunities. My daughter grows up. I have a niece. I have two nieces, but one that's older now, 14 years old. I don't want any man to feel like he has the right over her body, to try to trick, to drug her, to sexually assault her. I don't want no goddamn lecturer to tell her, if you want to get your grades, come to my... I want her to have opportunities to do whatever she wants to do. And it costs me nothing. And so because of that, I say that I, M.I. Abaga, I am a full-time feminist. And it doesn't matter if some feminists are getting it wrong. The idea that women should have equal opportunities as men, even when some women don't identify, the idea, there's a presidential candidate that said she's not feminist. That was that. The idea that a woman can run for president is feminism. Do you understand? The idea that if a man can do it, I can also do it. Do you know, when I was a child, they used to say, what a man can do, a woman can do better. What was the statement before that? Why did they need to say that? It means somebody once said, she's a woman, she cannot do that. You understand? It's just equal opportunities, and that's why I'm a feminist. And I think that we can ignore the social media noise and instead look for the women in your life. This is the best way to be a feminist. Look for women around you. Forget social media. Nothing happens on social media. Look for 5 women around you. Ask them, is there a way that I as a man can help make your life more equal? What ways are you being oppressed? Where can I stand up for you? Where can I speak up for you? How can I support you? And start that way. And that's the way that we can change the world, I believe. You know what I mean? My opinion.
So, one last thing.
Sorry, I talk a lot. I know. I'm very sorry.
One last thing. So, are you talking about women? Are you getting married soon?
Listen, the thing about Nigeria is that if we don't select somebody capable, no, our country will never change. We, the elite, we must be willing to waste our vote on somebody that we don't think will win. Yeah.
So no.
What do you say? What do you say?
So you're not getting married soon?
Oh, am I getting married? That's what you asked. Oh, see, the thing is that Arsenal have retained their values. You understand? Other clubs, they shift and change. But Arsenal, which is why I'm proud, me and Timmy Dakola are proud to be Arsenal fans. Yes.
You guys, I want you to all put your hands together for MI. Thank you for being a part of this movement. Thank you for allowing me to use you as a guinea pig for this project. I appreciate you. Guys, thank you for coming. We're going to do this next month again. I'll let you know when. But before we go, I wanted to find out if anybody has any questions. So we can't take more than 3. So if you have any questions, okay. Can someone come give him the mic? I think the question will be for you, sir.
Yeah, how are you sure it will be for me? The idea that a woman can pass the mic, that's feminism. Years ago, no woman.
So, MI, I was opportune to be trained by Godwin Tom. And I want to ask a question. When, as a manager, you manage an upcoming artist, sometimes you have to spend your own money to push this artist, to go for meetings, to probably book shows, because some agents say you have to tip us and stuff, so you drop money to book shows and stuff. At what point should a manager stop doing that? That's one.
Okay, go ahead.
Second thing, I'm going to shoot a shot at you. I applied for one of your management.
When I put out the tweets?
Yes, you were looking for managers.
Yeah.
I applied. I got your email.
Did I respond to you?
Yes, you responded.
And I said,
Then,
I sent from another mail.
yes, you sent from another
Oh,
mail.
wow.
Then
You made it.
you didn't respond again.
I
am still available.
Yes. I was just like, hey, let me just ask people to. I got one mail, at least one mail every minute for 5 days. At least one mail every minute for 5 days straight. So I really tried. And the first mail I sent was my actual work mail. Because I thought that maybe I'll get maybe 200 mails. You know, I was like, people will come, I'll read through it because I was looking for a few things. But Godwin, we'll connect, we'll talk. We're always looking for people.
Okay.
He can answer that question better than me.
Godwin, I would send you a DM or message on WhatsApp so that we
Okay.
can connect.
Sure.
You are the link.
I'm going to answer your first question about when does the manager stop spending his money. Abi, that's your question. Who's helping us with the mic? So, two things. As a manager, you have to decide from the beginning what role you're coming in to play. Yeah? And so if you do not have money to start a conversation, right? You must be clear about in terms of putting your own money down. Sometimes putting your money down is we need to eat. I think we did that, but I don't think it was an investment. It was not considered an investment. At some point, I had more money in my pocket than he did. Sometimes he had more money in his pocket than I did. So that's a different conversation. If you're talking about an investment, that means you're putting a budget down and you're saying we're going to pay for studio. We're going to pay for. If you start doing that, you need to be clear with the artist about the fact that you expect to recoup. Because if you're doing it as my friend, I'm going to assume that you're my guy. And the day you start telling me, this guy, I spent so much money, I'm like, but I thought you were my guy. Because there's no clear communication. And what I always say is a contract is not about trust. Because if it was about trust, we wouldn't write it. It's mainly about clarity. So when you start this conversation and you say, oh, I have some money and I believe in this artist, I want to start putting it down. You must put that money, that conversation in writing and say, look, this is our agreement, so there's no misunderstanding. That's the best way. So if you start, understand that you have to finish because your money is now hanging, right? But if it's something that you're just doing and you're like, look, I don't have money to invest, then you need to start making money. So the answer to that question is you end up not spending any more money when you start making money for the artist. You start recouping and start generating your own money, and then you don't feel the need to do that anymore.
Somebody in the back.
Good evening, ladies and gents. My name is Banji, and I used to think I was MI's #1 fan. I'd like to throw a question, a brief one, at Mr. Godwin's one.
This is like that one they call day. I was
Really?
invited here as a guest, but all the questions are forgotten. No problem.
I'd like you to just succinctly answer, what does it take to be an artist manager? About 10 days ago at the British Council, I overheard you asking a question concerning A&R. What are the major areas of difference or intersection in
Let's-
A&R and artist manager?
Okay.
Thank
First
you.
of all, here we have a lot of A&Rs that think they're managers. And we have a lot of managers that think that they're A&R. We have a few people who can do both, like Osage, right? She can see spot talent, she can identify what producer to bring on board, she can produce and create, right? Not all of us can do that. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that, right? So there are people who are able to spot talent, identify, but they don't know how to do the business. But they're so stuck on the fact that they found the artist that they do not want to let go of the artist because they're like, oh, this artist will start making money and all the work I did to find the artist will be wasted. What you do instead is you partner with a manager and work with the person. So you help ensure that the music is on point while the manager goes out to find the business. This is one of the problems we have. As he said, we don't trust each other here. As black people, we have a problem trusting each other. So if I'm bringing somebody else to the table, for instance, Obinna is a better A&R than I am. So Obinna would play a very specific role with MI in 2008, and I would play a different role with MI in 2008. But both of us could work together. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's one. About what it takes to be a manager, what I usually tell people, I could tell you is patience, it's negotiations, but a lot of things you will learn. A lot of things will humble you. I remember our first Diamond Bank check. I sat, was Close Bank, Equatorial. Yeah, I sat I was feeling cool. They're paying us 350K. That was like high. That year was a lot. And I was like, okay, we're going to go in, get the money, come out. I sat for 3 hours, 30 minutes, waiting for a 350,000 naira check. Don't worry about humility. You'll be humbled, right? So the focus instead is, I would tell people, outside humility and learning to negotiate and building a network, go and learn about business first. Understand how business works. Whether you are in the music industry, or you are in telecoms, or you are in oil, or you're in construction, business principles apply across. And the Nigerian, especially here, the industry is dependent heavily on marketing budgets of other sectors. Heavily. For now, hopefully it changes soon. But for now, it's still heavily dependent on that. And that means you're going to be having conversations with people in other sectors of the economy. And if you don't understand business, they're going to continue to take advantage of us. Simple. So the first thing I'll advise is learn about business. Understand what it means to be a business person. And then you can adapt it to the industry or whatever your job is. That's what I'll advise. Yes, somebody else has a question. Let's take a lady. This is a very male.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening,
Evening.
Godwin. Good evening, MI. Good evening, Timi Dakolo. My name is my name is Christiana, and I am a tax manager. Godwin.
Hi.
Hi. So my question is really straightforward. MI, calm down, calm down.
No, she's helping me manage my taxes.
Yeah.
They're going to be helping me manage my taxes.
I'm glad Godwin talked about learning about business. And in Nigeria of today, you know that tax is a major part of your business. The government is an invincible stakeholder in your business, so you can't really avoid them. My question now is for Timmy and possibly Timmy and MI. What is your take on celebrities paying their taxes and paying the correct amount, the right amount of taxes? Thank you.
We shouldn't have given her the mic. We shouldn't have given her the mic.
I'm here.
Okay, so Timmy, you want to answer and then ask your question.
Are you LRS? Okay, private, yeah.
We are avoiding all of them.
Eh? They've hit me at Pakona. Taxes are good, yeah? Paying tax is good. It's a very good thing. So we can be able to shout at the government when things are not done. But the fact is, I really don't understand how they come up with these figures. If you are paying tax, if LRS has come to you, you won't know what I'm saying. They will shake your belief. You see your tax and you, am I laughing? They brought one tax. I said, excuse me, I don't have oil rig. I started shouting, I'm an upcoming artist. I've had only one album. One album. But taxes are meant to be used to build roads and everything. I pay my tax as much. What I do is, when I go for events, I actually remove my tax because I cannot come and be explaining myself later. Based on last year LRS letter. Celebrities should pay tax so that I can be able to say rightfully, strongly, say to government officials and say, this is my tax receipt. And this is what you are not doing. Because in Lagos right now, we don't even know where. In all honesty, I think Lagos is on a standstill. Since we had that coup that they just plotted in Ambode, I'm saying the truth. After the coup with Ambode, Lagos is in the standstill. Everybody's doing their own. Last mile is doing their own. Nobody's answering anybody. We're enjoying traffic, potholes. You can just be walking on the road. You enter one pothole. You don't know how you got here. If you're looking at Lagos like, this is not how Lagos used to be like 1 month ago. Like everything is just happening to us. Someone is laughing. Let me stand and say this. It is not wrong to pay tax, but how people get to these figures is what I don't understand. It's like someone just say, Timmy, 12 million.
Hi, everyone. So the name of my company is TaxAid Professional Services Limited. We're actually very close. So Sorry, but I just wanted to say something that we have a slogan, and what we do is, or what we say is, at Tax Aid, we help you pay the right amount of taxes, not a couple more and not a couple less. So let me just put this as a disclaimer. We are not the people that you come to help you evade taxes. We don't do that. But we make sure that you pay the right amount. So whenever the LRS comes to you and gives you 12 million naira, Timmy, you know who you to call. Christiana. Okay, they've sent me a letter of 50 million for something, money that I did not earn. And I know what to do. I'll take it up from there. So it's not really your headache.
Got it, Tom.
Yes, I hear you.
This program was put together for this lady. So I think we should pay tax. We should not avoid paying tax. Because I think in other countries, I think in UK, if you dodge tax, it's like killing someone. Oh. Your jail time is very serious. It's not even the upside when people see you. When you be in jail, it's down there with murderers and everything. So a lot of things that in a system like this, people get away with a lot. People in Nigeria, people get away with a lot. You enter one supermarket today, sliced bread is 500. You enter the next one opposite it, it's 750. Plus VAT, you are paying for things you are not using. You cannot return anything. Custom charged me. I bought a lens for my wife. That is 1,000 something. Custom is charging me 8,000 something dollars. They're charging me 300,000 naira to collect it for something I bought 1,000 something. So see today, I mean, I've paid though, but I'm still calculating how they got that this thing. We all need to know about how much you should pay for tax and what we can avoid and all that.
I have an idea. So one of my shows, I'm going to bring FIRS and LRS here on one of it, just to solve some problems. So Timmy, do you still have a question? For Emma? Okay.
Yes, leave Emma alone. Yeah. I'm going to speak from the artist's perspective right now. How do you make music? Do you get the beat first, then the lyrics? Or do you get the lyrics first before the music? You understand what I'm trying to say? Me, I like to have my ideas running in my head if I put down the words. Because I feel like if I have a beat, it limits me to what I can say. I'm just saying openly what works for you. Because I've followed you right from.
That's false. I followed him before he followed me. Pause. In a straight way, heterosexual, as a fan. For me, I think that music, for me, the best way I can describe it is like meeting a woman. You don't know what you're going to be attracted to first. It might be on the phone, you hear a voice. It might be you see her walking and you're attracted to her body. It might be her face. It might be she did something kind to someone. I mean, if you think back at the people you've dated or the first day you met your wife or something, there's always a different story. So for me, I will put myself in a place where I know I'm now ready to start recording. And then I just try to live life. I ask a lot of people questions. Like this last album, Young Denzel, I had an idea, and my idea was headed this way. By the time I did my research, I was heading this other direction. I just live life. I ask people questions. If you have ever hung around me, you see that when I'm in a new place, I ask a lot of questions. Where are you from? How did you meet? And I'm trying to get as much information as I can. And then gradually, the song ideas will come out, and then I listen to maybe, I have a number for Chairman album. I recorded 183 ideas. So just different snippets. So I just listen to beat after beat after beat after beat after beat. Try, touch. There are people like, the people that you need to ask this question are people like Jesse Jacks. Because mine is trial and error. But Jesse just watches Chinese films, reads the history of Nigeria, do you understand? Burns the bush. And then one day he doesn't have the studio and just record. In 1 week, just record 10 songs. And all of us that have been working for the last 5 months, we go and listen. When you hear the first bar, you're like, my life is a waste. I was in just with him recently and he just played me new music. Just like, and he's always shy when he's playing new music. So he's like looking at me like, what's the mic going to do? I just heard 2 lines. I'm like, God, this boy, God, he's done it again. But yeah, it's a process for real artists, of which I believe that we can all agree that Timmy is one. People that are not defined by what's happening in the commercial space, they are finding truth. They're finding, they are writing important songs. No, it's true. And I think for true artists, that process is humbling when you have a song, because you didn't. It's not about your sense or you sabi, or it's something that happens organically. And his new album, by the way, which I'm on. Am I still on it? Okay. I'm on the first one. Hey, but listen, you guys need to respect me. I've been through a lot, but I'm on Timmy's 2 albums. Whose album are you on? Huh? Jokes. Well, is that all the questions? I want to say before we go that it's an honor to be here. Honor to be the first. Oh, you have a question? Okay. Sorry. Please, I want to ask a question. When your wife tickles you, is she scratching the surface?
No comment. Okay, so Audu was in charge of Chocolate City Music for a couple of years, then moved to Chocolate City Group. You took over Chocolate City Music. Now, the question is this. Music has evolved from when Audu was CEO to different formats. It was just albums and the rest of them. Which do you think, I know it's an unfair question to you, putting you on the spot, but which of the Chocolate City Music would you say is more profitable? Audu or now?
That's a very simple question. Definitely Audu's Chocolate City was more profitable. I think with music, there's something that happens that gives us the opportunity to develop process. Then, after that, there's a period where you now need to figure out what that process is, and you need to develop on the systems. And I think that I say this, that we were lucky early on. Audu met Jeremiah Gang. Through Jeremiah Gang, he met. So Audu, I was not the first artist on Chocolate City. There was Asha somewhat and 6 Foot Plus. Nobody really knows that part of the story. Then Jeremiah, and all those stories, they didn't really end very well. But here he meets this guy called MI, studio in Jos. You knew us from Jos, and you knew that Chocolate City that people know today was Chocolate City in Jos already. He met this guy called MI that had a system around him. We got off to a rocky start, but 1 year in, things just took off. Recorded a song called Safe, put it out, everything changed. And then, now, you want to look back 10 years later and find that lightning again. And now, as every label finds that it becomes harder to do after your period has passed. First of all, you attract artists that in some sense may be entitled. They may believe that it's going to be easier. There's a lot of things that you learn and have to unlearn, but I would tell you that Chocolate City today is not as profitable as it was, but it's healthier and it is more solidified for the future. So what we're going to do next, by God's grace, since Godwin has done this, in January, I want to start doing, how Apple do their talk. I want to start explaining the process of what we're doing. Wow. Let me do it first, please. Nigeria, we celebrate when somebody goes into office. He has not done the job yet, too, but we celebrate. We do Thanksgiving. Wow, you got a job. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but I'm going to start doing that, explaining the process of where we are. Today in Chocolate City, we have 6 labels under us. CBN is the one that everybody knows, which has myself, Dice, etc. But we have 5 other labels. We have a lot that's happening. We're growing. When we do the talk, you see. And it's been a hard, tough road for me. But I've been accepting of the fact that God is preparing me for something else in this process, because it's been very tough. I've had to learn and learn. You've worked in corporate space for a long time as a creative, and you can imagine somebody being given the top job in a corporate environment. coming from a purely creative space. Guys, I think that's it. Godwin wants to end, but I'm going to say something to him before we go, which is this idea he told me about 2 years ago. Remember, 2 years ago. And I want to say that I meant it when I said that sometimes things have to happen the way they did. When I look back at my time working with Godwin, I look back and I'm blessed to have worked with this incredibly amazing, intelligent, driven young man. Like, Godwin is one of the guys that in our industry that is always working and always serving. There are so many managers that are not serving, and that's the key for management. If you're not willing to serve, you cannot manage. You will be in a meeting and you will self-serve. You will talk about your feelings, you talk about your thoughts, you talk about what your own ideas are. But for you to have managed from Whiskey to Ice Prince to One Day to Waje to MI to NATO to like the roster is ridiculous. It's incredible. I know you're just getting started. It's a privilege to be here. God bless you. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next over the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Amazing.
What normally happens? Hold on. Can someone help me get these chairs? I want you to stand. Yeah, we're going to break dance. So normally we didn't pray before we started. And one of the things, I do believe in God, but I also believe in beautiful music. And I wanted us to invite an amazing musician on stage. Her name is Olua Shalom. Please put your hands together for her. Are we ready for her? So she's gonna. Yes, we're all gonna watch her. Just wanted us to introduce her. You wanna? Okay, yeah, fantastic. So guys, please put your hands together for Olua Shalom as she closes the event.
It's amazing that after all you've been through, you are still here. How you stayed alive when we had thought you were dying. Dear me, do you remember how it felt to know you were failing? When God turned it all around, you thought you were dreaming. Do you ever wonder how you got the strength to go on when you thought it all would crumble in your face? Yes, it's been a tough road, but His grace brought you here. You thought that it was over, but for grace, yes, you got but His grace will take you there. So, dear me, never forget how you got here. It's not all about what you've done, so grace will take you there. Dear me, can't you see that there's a plan for you and your journey? See the beauty of every curve, every turning. Oh, clearly, every fight you thought you lost, you were actually winning. And every single fall, making you strong for your rising. Hey, trouble, they would only stay a while. In the morning, joy arrives and brings the sunrise to your face. Oh, yes, it's been a tough road, but His grace brought you here. When you thought that it was over, there was grace. Yes, you got a long way, but His grace will take you there. So, dear me, never forget how you got here. It's not all about what you've done, so grace will take you there. See, you find strength to carry on. Even when you're out, He will take your hands. God's grace, God's grace, grace, God's grace, oh grace, grace will take you there. Even when you're falling, even when you're tripping, grace, it will be right there every step of the way. Hold on to grace with the whole of your mind. He will be right there. You're gonna be okay. Grace will take you there. There's gonna be grace right by your side. Don't give up. Yes, it's been a tough road, but His grace has brought you here. When you thought that it was over, there was grace. Yes, you got a long way, but His grace will take you there. So dear me, never forget how you got here. It's not all about what you've done, so grace will take you there. Grace will take you there. You're gonna be alright. Grace will take you there. Thank you.
From me and my goddaughter Fini, thank you all for coming and have a lovely evening.
Nightshot, stand up. J-Town, stand up. ABJ, stand up. 2010, stand up. We have arrived. MI2. This is officially the countdown. C-City, baby. Chop boys. Yes, yes, y'all. Let's go. Undisputed champion. Nobody can do what I've done. Nobody feet crash. Nobody do pass. Nobody feet chance. Nobody like say they don't dance. Nobody they don't dance. Nobody like say they don't dance. Yo, which kind witchcraft, which kind juju can make you do the things you do? Girls go gaga, guys go cuckoo. When you write the tracks and go choo choo. You who came in the game just like Moo Moo. Now you jump in the game, it's like